Welcome to Video Make My Lesson Better, the How-To series, Quality Content Criteria. On this edition of Video Make My Lesson Better, we will focus on a lesson that provides students with many opportunities to practice the skill we want them to learn. I am Claire Pavia, and I am a first grade teacher in Illinois. I am a MimioConnect moderator and a Mimio certified trainer. My partner, Lindy George, is an instructional technology specialist for a school district in Florida. She is a Mimio Master, Mimio Certified Trainer, and a Mimio Connect moderator. Together, we are the leaders of the Make My Lesson Better group. We also have a very special mystery guest who will be introduced later. Let's take a look at the checklist of quality content criteria. These quality instructional elements make an interactive lesson great. Today on the How-To series, Quality Content Criteria, we will be working with a lesson that offers many opportunities for students to practice the skills we want them to learn. So today we will look at a before and after version of a lesson on adverbs. The author of our before lesson provided a one-page interactive activity that was a great jumping-off point for this lesson remake. Lindy and our mystery guest, would you take us on a walk through our lesson?
Thanks, Claire. I would love to. In the after version of the lesson, we started by looking at the skills and concepts a student would need to know to understand adverbs. With that in mind, we began by reviewing parts of speech. On this page, the student will pull the words from behind the red box and sort them into the appropriate box. They can even check their answers. We check for understanding of adverbs using Mimio Vote. This page is a teaching page. The teacher explains that an adverb modifies a verb and asks a question. So as we move to the next lesson pages, we provide a number of interactive opportunities for your students to practice the skills we want them to learn. Watch how easy it is to check for accuracy. And as you move through the pages, we add distractors to build the practice opportunities from easy to more difficult. Now the lesson continues, and students are asked to identify the adverb in the sentence and then pull the text that describes what kind of adverb is being used. Kind of like magic, the answer appears. The next page provides even more interactive practice of the skill when the student is asked to both identify the adverb and what type by choosing the appropriate question or phrase. Finally, a third page of practice has the students identify the adverb in the sentence, write the question word that the adverb answers, and then click on the reveal to check their answers. All of these interactive pages provide many opportunities for the student to practice the skills we want them to learn. And now, to share the rest of this amazing lesson with you, we are excited to welcome our very special mystery guest to make my lesson better.
Well, thank you so much, Lindy and Claire. It is truly an honor to be here as part of the Make My Lesson Better How-To series on Mimio quality content. My name is Paul Gigliotti. I am a full-time social studies teacher located right outside of Cleveland, Ohio. I also serve several capacities here at Mimio as a Mimio Master, a Mimio Quick Learn instructor, and the Mimio Connect site manager. For the last 5 years, I have been using Mimio in my own classroom, and it's really revolutionized and changed the way that I teach. Mimio interactive teaching technologies allow my students to engage in active learning, which, as you know, all the research has proven to be a critical part of the learning process. That being said, this how-to series is so incredibly valuable because, of course, when we combine the interactivity that Mimio can bring to your classroom with the quality content criteria, it really allows you to create effective lessons that are not only interactive but are focused on learning objectives and, of course, can contain those measurable assessment goals. So I am thrilled to be here with you guys for this video. And at first, when I heard that you were going to be working on a lesson about adverbs, I gotta say, as a history guy, I was a little disappointed. We talk about things like wars and famous people and elections, and adverbs. Yeah, I know they're important in language arts, but they're just not as exciting to me as some of those other topics. However, I love this lesson because as I started to look at it, it dawned on me that anyone teaching with a Mimeo interactive product in their classroom can utilize the skills and the techniques associated with the quality content criteria to make their content just as interactive as this lesson. This lesson is a model of how to create a perfect learning atmosphere for your students. And of course, as you all know, what's in a good lesson? Well, a good lesson provides some instructional teaching time. It provides lots of opportunities for practice, as Claire mentioned earlier in the video, and of course it also provides a chance for some serious assessment. And what you guys have done here for Make My Lesson Better has really taken this to the fullest extent. Let me just point out some of the things that I really like about this lesson. For example, on this page here, we have a classic instructional piece. We have our teacher tips here in our page where you're going to be discussing the text with your students and emphasizing the placement of those adverbs within the sentence. I mean, let's face it, when kids come into your classroom, they don't know what an adverb is. They don't know where it's located in the sentence. So before they can practice the skill, obviously some instruction has to take place. And this page does that very, very nicely. It allows you to discuss the verb that the adverb is modifying, and of course you can always use the little reveal box here as some interactivity to check your answer. So that being said, we have our instructional piece. Now, here is where it gets really exciting because here is where the students have those opportunities to practice. So now that we've had our instruction, what I'm going to do as the teacher is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have my students read the sentences out loud so that they can identify the adverb. And of course, once we've identified the adverb, I'm going to make use of my interactivity. I'm going to pull out my Mimeo tools here, choose my selector, and I'm going to have the students use that selector now to select the actual modifier. And there it is. I even have a little flash arrow underneath there. Then I'm going to have my students come on up and using the Mimeo pen, I'm going to have them circle the word that is in fact being modified. Last but not least, then, we can check for that understanding. We can check to make sure that this is actually correct by doing the little magic trick here where the students are going to pull the sentence on over to the right-hand side. Now, how cool is that? So we've gone through our instruction. Now we have opportunities to practice, and as you can see, there would be several chances for students to come on up and engage in that active learning, which we all know is so important. This is a similar type of activity where we're going to go ahead and look for that modified word. Again, we're going to have the students come on down. And in my objectives here, you'll see they're going to once again read the sentence out loud. Then they're going to go ahead and identify the adverb in that sentence. And as they go through now, at the end of this activity, we're going to have this little item over here, this little pull tab, which will allow us to check to see that our answers were in fact correct. Once again, we want measurable outcomes. We want to be able to see if that lesson objective was achieved, and doing things like this interactively can definitely get you to that point. More practice here, more of the same type of activity. We're going to go ahead, and now once again we have our students going over this sentence to find those particular adverbs. And then, of course, again, we can go ahead and check for understanding. So multiple opportunities for practice, as Claire had mentioned at the start of the video, and that Mimeo interactivity makes it fun. So, think about it. You got those kids sitting there, the last thing in the world they want to learn about is adverbs, but now we can really engage them in the concept. My instruction is there, my practice is certainly there, and when we're ready then, of course, we have opportunities for assessment. And nothing says assessment like Mimeo Vote. Mimeo Vote is in fact the ultimate assessment piece because what it does for you is it puts interactivity in the hands of each and every one of your students. Now, you're not going to have one or two students answering all the questions. Instead, with your Mimeo Vote assessment system, you are going to have 100% participation. And of course, you remove the fear that many students have of answering the question wrong. So now you're going to get 100% participation. You've eliminated that fear. And oh yes, by the way, as the teacher, we get instant data. We get instant feedback, which of course is the name of the game. So with these vote questions now, the students are going to go through and they're going to be assessed and reinforced that they've learned that objective. And think about it, they've had the instruction, they've had the practice, and now this should be the final piece to really reinforce that concept and of course tell the teacher if this lesson has been effective. If you go through these vote questions and they're getting them all wrong, well, what does that tell me as a teacher? I need to go over even more adverbs. Of course, what you see here in this lesson can be applied across the curriculum, across grade levels. The whole idea of using that interactivity around those objectives and creating situations that are in fact measurable. Not only with the practice, like we saw with some of the pull tabs, but also of course with the assessment piece here with the Mimeo vote. So I just love this lesson. You guys did a phenomenal job, and I know I'll be using many of these types of techniques in my future social studies lessons.
Thank you, Lindy and Paul, our mystery guest, for showing us through this amazing lesson and how we took a good single-page activity on adverbs and created a complete lesson with many opportunities for students to practice the skill we want them to learn. Want to learn even more about building lessons that meet the quality content criteria? Watch for practice lessons posted by the Mimeo professor and check out the Make My Lesson Better forums for more upcoming video examples. To download this lesson, please visit the Make My Lesson Better group on Mimeo Connect. Not a Make My Lesson Better group member yet? Click on Groups and search for the Make My Lesson Better group. Click Join. Post your lessons and share with us in the forums how you are using the quality content criteria to make your lessons even better. Thanks for joining us.